I was sitting in the King's Head with my mate Pat. I just met him at that time, and I was looking on the wall, and I said, you know, Pat, I can see you in a picture on the wall, and Keith Moon's with you. He said, yeah, I was his roadie. He said, and in 1974, when Phil first bought the pub, Keith turned round, and his mate, another rock star, I won't mention who it is, came in, and he said, Keith, I want to borrow your roller, you know, the Rolls Royce. I want to pick up some, how's your father? So he said, oh, yeah, I chucked him the keys. Anyway, this fella wrapped it around a lamppost round the corner. So he comes back in, nearly crying, and he says to Keith, I've wrapped it around the lamppost, mate, I'm sorry. And Keith just turned around and said, oh, well, I'll get another one. Just like that. So a little while later, Pat was telling me that he started to tear all the sinks out the bathroom. So anyway, the whole place is flooded out. And everyone's going, I think we got a leak, I think we got a leak. Then he gets up, picks up the chairs and chucks them through the window. Then he starts smashing all the optics up. So everyone's going, I think he's gone off his head. You know, that's what you did back then. It was fun, you know. So anyway, Pat said I had a great life with him. He said, but what happened is, a week later, Keith comes back to the King's Head in Santa Monica, and he says, hello, Phil. And Phil, the owner, standing there folding his arms at the door, and he says to him, hello, Keith. He says, Phil, can I come in? He says, of course you can, Keith. So he lets him in. And Keith says, you're not pissed? He says, I'm not anything, Keith. He says, but you don't mind that I smashed the place up? He said, Keith, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, jam-packed. You can smash my bar up any time you like.
That's a true story. Because I'm sitting here with the guy who saw it firsthand. And we're talking about Keith Moon because, in our opinion, greatest rock and roll drummer. I don't care what you think. Prove me wrong, as I've asked you before. We're talking about Keith Moon, and I'm sitting here with Lenny Taylor, who I met at the concert last Sunday, the Baywood concert, and I heard the accent, and I was like, okay, you got to come on to the show. He has a storytelling group. Why don't you talk a little bit about the storytelling group? In the mic.
We're the Bayside storytellers from Los Osos, you know. And we tell all the stories in the club, but now I might start branching out and telling them sort of here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, because I've got so many stories.
I know. I'm sure you got some great ones.
If you want any more today, you let me know. You know what I'm saying? You know. But I want to say that with Keith, that is, my dad's best mate, Dougie Sandham, was actually the Who's drummer. But what happened is, they were playing at a local bar, and Keith, dressed in a ginger beard, ginger hair, ginger coat, ginger trousers, ginger shoes, walked up to Pete and said, I'll knock him off the drums, I'm absolutely brilliant. And so Pete said, well, go on then, get up and have a go. So he got up and had a go, and he showed everybody what he could do. And that's the end of the story, because how are you going to get any better than him?
That's right. There you have it.
You see what I mean? Poor Dougie Sandham, no, my dad did feel sorry for him.
Him and Pete Best went to the local pub and had a drink.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah, so we started talking about Keith Moon. Lenny says, I have a Keith Moon story. I said, you're coming on the air to tell it. And so we decided, I asked, so I just played my favorite Keith Moon song. I mean, with a quick one. That was a quick one. And
yeah, you mustn't say quick one, though. Especially in England, because, you know, the girls get all going when you say quick one, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you got Be a bit slow with that one if you can.
Well, here it's just, I don't know what it
Goes
means.
right
here.
over your head.
I know. So I picked out my favorite Who song that featured Keith Moon, and that was it, a quick one. And Lenny brought in a couple of other ones that he likes, and we're going to play one of them right now for you here on The Rock. All right, we are talking about The Who. We heard Eminence Front. Actually, we were just saying that Keith Moon had already died when that song came out, but we're talking about Keith Moon. I'm talking with my new friend Lenny Taylor, and who is from West London.
Right.
And he has some, he used to, apparently, when they were doing Quadrophenia, were you an extra in that?
I wasn't. I used to party with all those guys that were in it. And
He
let me tell you
partied with all
something,
the
they're
guys.
excellent guys to know.
He partied with those guys, man. I
And
mean, jeez.
If you out there haven't really seen Quadrophenia, get yourself together. Because I'm telling you, this is our little world in London, mostly London. Rockers, mods. I was a mod. Most of us are mods. Rockers were the grease monkeys, like, you know, with the big black bikes and the, you know, levers and all that, and the chains and all that. You know, they was the aggressive ones. We were a bit more cool. Ben Sherman shirts, we dressed all American. I mean, really tasty American clothes. Stuff that Americans probably wouldn't dress in back then, but we would, because we loved it. Dr. Martin boots, Levi's,
Yeah.
Ben Sherman shirts, all right? Harrington jackets, all from America. Now, if you didn't dress American, you wasn't hip. Now, Italian clothes come into it too. Very striped T-shirts, you know, different colours on them, Vespa on them and
Right.
stuff like that. I mean, Pete thumped that home. He drove all that home. He was the ultimate mods, and they were the #1 mod band out there. And if you see how they dressed, please, get yourself together and buy some of this stuff. It's fantastic, man. It really is. Now, Quadrophenia is a very, very strange movie because it's all about the scooters, the Vespas, you know, and it's all about the mod attitude. Yeah, they was aggressive and all that because they had to go against all the other gangs and the greasers and all these other gangs that was out there, you know. And yeah, a lot of places got smashed up, like Brighton, they smashed it to pieces and all of that. You know, put all that aside. Let me tell you something. Mods, watch the dancing. The dancing's out of this world, man. It's so smooth. It's as good as your American soul. And let me tell you something, they were in love with your American soul.
That's right.
Every
Inspired.
mod, Green Onions, all those things they were in love with. They loved anything American. They all dressed American. You've got to understand that. And if you could dress like it today, you'll see how cool people can really be. I mean, my brother's a rockabilly from the 50s. I can't give him anything English.
I love rockabilly.
Yeah, but he won't take anything English. I'll buy it for him, but he doesn't want it. It's got to be 1950s, American or nothing. And that's it. Oh, he's an Elvis impersonator. by the
Okay.
way.
Where?
Well, he used to do it everywhere in England, in the pubs, the clubs, everywhere. He doesn't do it so much now, but he's got a lovely CD with about 8 tracks on it, and everyone in America said, could you please turn Elvis off for me? I said, hey, that's my brother.
Well, there's a great line in the movie Hard Day's Night where the interviewer is asking Ringo, is he a mod or a rocker?
He's got to be a mod.
He says,
He has to be a mod.
he laughs and he says, I'm a mocker.
Well, he's both.
That's
That's what it means. He's both.
exactly.
That'll Be the Day. That was a film he was in around about that time. That'll Be the Day.
Who?
Ringo.
Ringo was in the movie That'll Be the Day?
That'll Be the Day. You need to see that. It's a great rock movie. Fantastic.
About Buddy Holly.
I forget who it was about. A load of different people. That'll be the day.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But it was an English-made film. And
Yeah.
it was very unusual back then.
All right. So before we get to our next story, tell me why you came to the U.S. And what do you? And you said you were in, of course, the film business because that's what everybody does.
Yeah.
When they come to Hollywood.
Exactly.
So
I had to do it all. You know, I mean, there's nothing I didn't do. I've done everything I ever wanted to do.
wow. All right. Not
Got
many
no
people can say
complaints
that.
about anything here. Because it started off with the Stones and they loved the Who, you know, they loved the soul and then went into blues and stuff like that. So the English can't get enough of America. If you see an 80-year-old Englishman walking about in London right now, he has an American cap on with an American name on it.
Oh, God.
So you've made the world Americanized.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
I know you moan, Lise. but-
I apologize.
Yeah, but I know you moan, but I'm not having none of that. And now let me tell you
know.
why. Let me tell you why. My acting teacher, Morgan Shepherd, he started me off with this. He said, Lenny, when I first come here, I was an actor, he said, but I always felt like a famous rock star because Americans make me feel that way. I'm the same. I said, Morgan, I will say to Americans exactly what you say to Americans. They give you everything. They give you a chance for everything. And it's never said about Americans here. They don't get any credit for the English coming in.
Yeah, well, you
I
know.
won't have it. I won't have it. I'm telling you now. I won't have it. You put America down, you've got to fight on your hands. I'm telling you. Listen, American people are the celebrities. Okay? Forget celebrities. American people are my celebrities.
Okay, well, I'm glad
Because
I'm
they've
glad you
treated
feel
me
that.
like a rock star from the first day I ever got here. And I still feel like it today.
Well,
I mean, look at you. You
you're-
grabbed me accent and put me on the radio.
I know. I know.
Do you want any more proof than that? Really?
I know. I said I love your accent. You got to be on the radio.
So you're going to give me my own show or what?
Oh God, we got another Foghorn Pete here.
Yeah. See?
All right. So you made it in America. Did you come straight to California?
I've got to tell you the story. It's one of my stories.
Oh, good. I want to hear a story. Let's do a
And
story.
I'm going a bit all over the place
That's
right
okay.
now because I'll tell you what. I arrived. Oh, well, before I arrived, no, I was on the plane and I chatted this girl up from Glendale. And she says, well, what you want to do is get yourself down to Santa Monica. There's over 30,000 English there. Go in the King's Head and you'll be set up for life. Well, she was right. But there's a lot happened before I got to the King's Head. And that was, I got on the wrong bus from LAX and it didn't go to Santa Monica. It dropped me off in Hollywood.
Ugh.
And at
What
that,
year?
1980.
Okay, still
and at that
good
time,
then.
it was a bit weird for me in Hollywood. And I said to her, I said, listen, I said, so I phoned her up and I says, listen, I said, I'm in Hollywood. She said, where are you? I said, Hollywood and Highland. I said, she says, oh, that's where the Roosevelt is. Go there. I said, all right, but I just want a pint of beer. And the bars are like really weird. I don't want to walk in. So she says to me, well, look, just get in the Roosevelt. So I get in the Roosevelt and I book he gave me a closet, of course, you know, back
Sure,
then. It
yeah.
was a closet,
Yeah.
you know, and it was very expensive. It was just a closet, it's okay. So I said to the guy behind the desk, I said, hey, I've been travelling for about 18 hours. I need a pint. In fact, I need about 12 tonight. So he said to me, go downstairs in the Hawaiian bar. I said, what, do I have to dress Hawaiian? He said, no, just go down there. So I get down there, and this beautiful girl behind the bar says to me, oh, you just come over from England, you know, she's chatting me up and that, lovely. So this English guy pops in, all dressed in Hawaiian, and he sits next to me and he says, "Oh, you just come over." He says, "Well, behave yourself." Well, that stuck with me because you know what? He was very successful. He was only about 30. He said, "You'll get everything you want here, but behave yourself." Like that. And that stuck with me. And I chatted the girl up and I said, "Hey, I'm in room so-and-so. So what time you finish?" She said, "About 2. She says, "Just after." I said, "Well, give me a knock." She said, "All right then." So I said to the English guy, "Where can I get one of them American burgers? This is going to be my first burger." So he said, "1 block. Go 1 block. There's a big giant burger place. Go in there. It's excellent." So I go in there. So I had me burger and all that. So the girl behind the cashier says to me, "Where you staying?" I said, the Roosevelt." She says, "Oh, no. There goes another one." I said, "Well, that don't sound right." She says, "About 3 weeks ago, there was an English guy like you. And this gang beat him up really bad. Kicked his door in and beat him up. Well, I slept with the light on all night. And about 2:15, there was a knock on the door. Well, I wouldn't answer the door. So, years later, I figured it out. It was the girl behind the bar.
That's right.
Anyway, the next day, I jumped on the next bus, got to Santa Monica, got in the King's Head, and I was all right ever since. And I'm still here now.
You know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Don't. But that was a terrible night, the first night, I've got to say.
Oh,
yeah.
God. All right. We're going to hear our next Who song.
Next Who song?
Are you ready? Lenny picked this out.
I'm always ready.
Okay, we're sitting here talking and listening to stories from Lenny Taylor, a new friend of the station. We've been playing some music from The Who. We heard Real Me from Quadrophenia and Sparks from Tommy. And Lenny's a storyteller. He's going to tell some stories.
Me old dad. Love him. Me old dad. It was his birthday. Anyway, he used to walk down to the train station. He used to get 5 stops on the train. Then he used to walk from the train station all the way to Acton Working Man's Club. Well, down there he was the main entertainer, so they all got him a Scotch chaser. So of course he's had 12 Scotch chasers, 12 pints, and I don't know how many more. And he staggered, and I mean staggered, all the way up to the train station to get back home later in the day. He used to drink all day, see. So he's got on the platform, and he started to sway and almost fell over the edge. And if you fall, that's the end of you. It's good night, Vienna. It really is. So he's swaying, and he said all he remembers is 2 students propped him against the wall. And he saw the train pull up, and he thought, "Oh, that's my train." And this driver walked out of the train, and the other one come down the stairs, was more drunk than my dad. And he was driving the train. So he got in the front of the train, and my dad went up to him and said, "You're not driving this train in the state you're in." He said, "Well, look at you." He said, "Here, the doors are shutting. Quick, jump in." So my dad jumped in with him. He says, "I know you from school. You're Lenny Taylor. I know you are." And my dad said, "Well, you know something, mate? I've always wanted to drive one of these trains."
Oh, no.
You know what he said? He said, "Well, all you got to do, you see that knob there? You pull that towards you. That's 30 mile an hour. Just pull it slightly." So they started to take off. And they're going from one station to the next station. Well, he says, "Now, I want you to keep it steady like that all the way," because he pulled it about halfway, "and all the way till we get to the station, right?" Well, my dad slacked off and stopped it before the station. Now, there's about 200 people on the train sitting there, panicked. What we stopped for? So my dad said, "Well, what do I do?" He said, pull it. So he's pulled it. He said, go all up to the station, and when you see the green light, go all the way down the platform to the green light, and then it'll say red, stop. Well, my dad stopped it halfway along the platform. So the driver said, they can't get out. He said, what's the good of stopping here? Go right to the end. So he went to the end and he let them out. So Dad did this on 5 stations, and he said, by the 5th station, I had it down. He said, but I made one major mistake. The platform was a little bit higher than I thought it was, and when I stepped out the train to say goodbye to my old school buddy, I tripped on the platform, shot across the platform. Now I've got a big crowd round me, and they think I'm the driver of the train. So they're all giving me a hard time. So my mate was on the ticket office, and he let me go through without a ticket. That's all good and well and good. So he said, I got home. He says, and I had one of them umbrellas where you press the button and it shoots up. Well, the wind caught it. He says, and I pressed it, I shot up, and I went right over the brick wall. He says, and my 2 legs are sticking up, and we didn't know he was in the yard. So 2 fellas from across the street said, hey, they knocked on our door. They said, is that your dad? I said, yeah, that's my dad. Well, when they showed him to us, all the umbrella was crushed all over his head, all in pieces, And they said, well, do you want to take him in? I said, yeah. He comes indoors and he says, you'll never believe what just happened to me.
Oh, God, you British and your drinks.
Love him.
Oh, jeez. I bet you have a lot of stories about your dad.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, he was an entertainer,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, wherever he went, he had to tell stories, and he was just a very, very good... His timing was brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know why he wasn't a famous actor, because, he entertained everybody. Wherever he went, and they always loved him, so... I always thought he'd take it one step further, but you know what? Drink stops that.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I mean about... British in their pubs, right?
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's good for you. It's sociable, but it can let you down.
Yeah, yeah.
If you overdo it.
Yeah. It's a problem. It's a problem here too.
See?
All right. You got a whole list of stories there. So we're going to go for a couple more songs and one more story here on the Rock. You're listening to 97.3 and 107.9. I'm going to find another Keith Moon song here on my list. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to play something else from Quadrophenia because it's so great. All right. Oops. Here we go. Yeah, so if you've seen Quadrophenia, you know what happens at the end of that song, right? I'm not going to tell you, though, because you should see that movie.
Yeah.
But, man, Pete Townsend, what an amazing composer. What an amazing musician. I didn't come to The Who till a little bit later because I was, immersed in the Beatles for so long. But, God, what a talent.
Yeah.
So, so we're telling stories. I think we're going to have time for one more story and one more song. With Lenny Taylor, and he'll be back again on the air with more music and more stories. So let's get to it.
This is called The Onion Story.
The Onion Story?
Yeah, The Onion Story. And it's about me and my best mate, Greg. We moved down to Torquay. We just wanted a change from London, And we got down there. And we were working down here and having a good little life down there, and he used to work somewhere different from me, and he worked with these 2 country guys out deep in the country it was, and they used to walk across the field and pick magic mushrooms, And so this Friday night was the Friday night before he went back to London, and they said to him, you're not driving tonight, are you? And he's in the local pub, all full of farmers it was, And they said, "You're not driving tonight?" He said, "No, I'm not driving. That's why I'm drinking the homemade scrumpy in the pub, like the real strong stuff." So he didn't know, but he started having a pint of scrumpy, and they dropped some magic mushrooms in there. And the farmers had these prize onions that were massive, all different onions. And where he went wrong was he picked up one of their onions. Now, you mustn't touch a farmer's onion, please. So he picked it up, and the farmers jumped him, and they didn't know he was a boxer, so he starts knocking them all out. Because they tried to punch him, and he wallop. He's knocked them all over. Anyway, one of his fists went through the window, so he's cut his hand. And he didn't know how to get them off him, so he's knocking them all out. So he's beat up the whole pub, and he's legged it. So he's going up the road, and this girl in this big long white dress sees he's got all blood coming out of his hand, and she tries to help him and wipes it on her white dress. Well, it looked like something out of a horror movie. It looked like he'd attacked her or something. So anyway, being he's on mushrooms, he's walking along, he don't know what he's doing, and he sees this house with the door open. So he goes in there, and he hears them all in the room, like, listening to the TV real loud, and then he goes in the kitchen and makes himself a sandwich. So anyway, he comes out, and the cops are waiting outside for him, and they got him. They take him to the jail, and they try to lock him up for the night, and they said, "Empty your pockets." Well, he emptied his pockets, and he brought out a whacking great big onion. And the cop said, "I've never seen an onion like that in my entire life. Where'd you get that?" He said, "Well, I nicked it from the farmers." He said, "I didn't mean to. I just picked it up and put it in my pocket, because they were fighting with me." So anyway, he goes to court, and the judge turns around and says to him, "Now, what's the number of your front door?" And he says, "Number 77. And the judge says, "Bang, £77 fine." And you know what Greg says? "I should have said number 2.
Oh, God, but how horrible to be arrested and be shrooming.
First time he was ever arrested. Oh, poor guy.
Was it the first time he did mushrooms?
Yes.
Oh, geez, that's a bad trip.
He was having a bad trip. But he said it wasn't all bad. I was seeing some wonderful
Sure,
things.
I bet. Yeah, it couldn't have been all that bad. God, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, Lenny, thank you so much for coming on the air and telling the stories and bringing some Keith Moon songs. We're going to do a couple more. And this is a song, I don't know if I've ever heard this song before. I have because I've seen Quadrophenia. But this is a song called "I'm One." Whoops, there goes my mic. We're going to play that, and I'll go into one more, another song, an outro song after this, "I'm One" from Quadrophenia.